RRR becomes an India selection, 99% it might get nominated for the Academy Award.
Oh,
99%. That's the impact RRR has had in the world of Hollywood. Like India actually might have a nomination in the final 5 if RRR is the film that we pick.
Listen to him. Listen to him.
I don't know what film anybody is going to pick. I hope not Kashmir Files. Like Gully Boy, if you look at it, Gully Boy, the West loves Gully Boy. People went crazy in Berlin.
Yeah, I was there that year.
People went crazy in Berlin. And no, the filmmakers, the studios in Hollywood, everyone, they called Zoya. Zoya had to go on a tour saying no to films.
Oh.
She's turned on something very massive also, I know that.
And it did fair.
Ah ha ha. We'll never get to know what, but that's quite interesting, man. Dude, all the information is like, you do not find someone like him who just, say these things casually like this.
Pretty well here also, right?
He did very well, yeah. It's like a Zoya film does well in that range.
Right.
See, also because Zoya is rooted.
Right.
If Zoya was also exaggerating things, she would also scale up. But her rootedness in her own world is also what makes, there's an element of realism that seeps into her film.
Right.
So those things also, like when you see a Dil Dhadakne Do, right? You see a dysfunctional family story. So she has seen those those people and she represents them.
If someone put you in charge of Hindi cinema and said, go fix it, what would you do?
Me, I would bring in a lot of outsiders and let people be. Only thing I would do is...
Outsiders as in from different parts of...
I'm saying when you pick someone, you allow that person or let the person tell their own story. Just based on success. Because somebody has a stream of success behind them, I would not let them dictate how newer people coming in should make films.
That's true.
See, why South works very well is because nobody's dictating ऐसे film बनाते हैं, वैसे film बनाओ या ऐसे बनाओ. Here, newcomers, everybody still dictated. Like the studio bosses who have been ex-filmmakers.
Right.
They will still go and say that I understand music better than you. Let me do the music. Let me do the casting for you. Let me tell you what kind of film you should make. The day that stops, it's a very polite bullying. People into losing themselves.
Right.
That needs to go away from the film industry. You've hired me, trust me, and let me be me.
Yeah.
Diversification. You have one person sitting in a cave who doesn't know the world outside, dictating how everybody should be making a film and telling them what to do. So obviously you're digging your own
Plato's cave. Google about it if you don't know.
grave. Look at a Karan Johar. He hired his biggest critic, Somen Mishra, biggest critic, and gave him dramatics and said, run the company. And what you say that I lack, create space for that. So what did Somen do? He brought in a bunch of outsiders and interesting voices and empowered them.
Okay.
Now that's the way to go. So if you're hiring a Somen, you have to empower him. And if Somen is hiring other people, he has to empower them. You have to empower people. You don't dictate those. That time is passé now. That time is passé. And Aditya Chopra needs to hire, if he has hired a bunch of people, he needs to empower them and not dictate them. Not control the casting. Not control everything. Sit in your office. Hire good people if you trust them and let them make the film.
Right.
Which is the
That's
mistake
bold
he makes. He
statement.
doesn't let them.
He's saying that.
This is something that a lot of people need to do. A lot of shows. You have to stop. Everybody has got their own ideas in their head now. Since they can't make a Marvel film, everybody's trying to make their own universe of something or the other.
Right, right.
Right? Because they think that's the way to go. But in the process, what you're also doing is you're pushing a lot of filmmakers to lose themselves. A lot of interesting voices will lose themselves. When you lose your voice, then you are always interesting for me as long as you're delivering a hit. The day you don't have a star, you're lost. For me, interesting voices are those that are not dependent on stars.
Yeah.
That is the thing that needs to change here.
Now that you say that this is the market, you have 9 scripts that out of which only one has found a buyer.
A taker, yeah.
A taker.
I won't say buyer, taker, yeah.
Right. Are we still going to see the Anurag who made No Smoking, Girl in Yellow Boots?
Yeah. I am not giving up on that part of me.
Right.
Everybody wants me to
I wait to see both the films, so
do a remake of Gangs of Wasseypur. But if it didn't exist before and I came with that script, it won't be allowed to be made the way it is. I'm saying that time there was a system in place where I could go and fought. The film won't come out intact. It'll get chopped. Today, I cannot go out and make Gulal the way I made it. Even a Devdi will be hard to make.
Why Devdi?
Because it offends the sensibility of a lot of patriarchal men.
Okay.
When Devdi came out, you don't remember the kind of reactions that came out. I remember that. I remember those reactions and those letters written to me and messages on Facebook and things like, what kind of culture are you propagating where a woman is carrying her own mattress because she wants to have sex? The opening scenes, if you see, there's somebody, they still keep picking out scenes from there. And right in the beginning, the discussion, the very intimate discussion between Dev and Paro on the internet.
Yeah.
There's a whole right wing that thinks I'm responsible for the cultural decline of our Sanskriti with my films.
So empowering Paro with sexuality is a problem now.
In Man Marzi, the massive problem was that the girl is caught in the room with the boy in the opening scene and uska bhai usko gate tak chhod ke aata hai. When you try to talk to people what offended them, and the opening sequence is there, to baki to film bhul jao na.
But it did well, right?
So it is still not, my biggest success is Man Marzi, but it's still not the successful standard of the industry.
You still want to make those films, it's just become harder.
It's become harder because everybody's scared.
Okay.
Everybody's scared. So easier option is to do remakes, and I don't want to do remakes of very big films, very famous films, an unknown film like Dobaaraa.
We make so many. I've personally made videos about remakes and so much trolling on remakes. And he's just saying that original scripts no one will make it because of the political climate, and what is left is remake. So there's no it's like a whole circle. If I make a original movie on the concept I am right, people will, boycott it, offend it, FIRs, this, that. And then if nothing left is, then I have to do remake. And if you do remake, again, you're remaking it. There's nothing original. Oh my God, man. What a trap.
Happened.
But it also convinced you. That's why you're
It convinced me and I made it my own.
Right.
And I'm very happy with the film. I'm very proud of the film. But what is what problem that I'm foreseeing is, now everybody will come to me to make remakes.
You can't do one for them, one for you?
One for them, yes. One for me, they won't let me. So it's not like, I spoke Malayalam when I was born in Kerala. I wish I spoke Tamil and I was born there. I would have made those films.
But those states have their own issues. It's just that outside, there only a particular kind of film.
But there's a system in place that you still get to make films.
Yeah.
I'm saying, तुम्हारे state में तुम अभी भी नायट 2 बना सकते हो ना?
Yeah, you can make a नायट, yeah.
Right, if you can still make a nayak 2, that's all one a filmmaker wants. Filmmaker is not trying to change the world.
Yeah.
Filmmaker is trying to express something that is bothering him, and through a genre film. And I like genre films. Genre films came out because of operation of not, you can't express this, can't express that.
Right.
You see, the early silent films were much darker. Early silent films were much darker.
Yeah.
People went out there to do things. Yes, they did not show violence on screen, but it was there off screen. It was there. It was created without sound.
They found workarounds.
Yeah.
Or even the way Hitchcock showed sexuality.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was like all hidden, but it's plain sight.
It's plain.
I love how Baradwaj is just having so much fun talking to him.
There.
Yeah. Have you gotten over Bombay Velvet?
Me, no. I've not gotten over what I wanted to make with it. So sometimes it's like, it sounds foolish. But
It doesn't sound foolish.
No, it sounds foolish in the sense that when you can own your own failures, you're okay, you get over it. It's like when it's hard to say that, yeah, largely it's my failure, but I didn't fail after exactly making my own film.
Yeah.
If I would have made exactly my film, I would have been just good.
Even if it had failed?
Even if it would have failed. A lot of films of mine have failed.
Right. So what exactly went wrong there?
Nothing, it's just that I took the pressure of too much budget, too much media attention, too much.
Yeah.
A studio that was growing at that time and we were doing well. It's like I took the weight on my shoulders and too much speculation. So I just did not follow my own instincts and intuition that I do while making a film.
Right.
Nobody put a gun on my head. But there's so many other kind of pressures that I took on. Also partially because my support system also took on that pressure, which is my producers at Phantom. So it's a failure of not standing up for things.
Right.
So there's regret. That's a more big failure because sometimes okay, I did something and it didn't work out. But I didn't do it with, utmost dedication. What I really wanted to do, I didn't do it. And, I didn't stand up for myself, my principles, what I believe in, and it didn't work out. And, that hurts more because you lost the principle. That's more important than, the film being a good or not,
And there's guilt.
Is there any other film that you feel about that way that you made?
The ending of No Smoking, The last
Don't
sequence
spoil
of
it. Don't spoil it.
the ending of it.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about not the ending of it, just pre-ending. That
Okay.
sequence of New Year's Eve. Things that are compromised because एक point पे budget खत्म हो गया.
Yeah.
So we did not follow the script and we created from what was available. Like the last shot of Gangs of Wasseypur,
Okay.
when Ramadhi Singh bleeds like as if somebody's opened a tap. Very bad VFX. And the man disappeared, ran away from the country and disappeared on us. I don't know how to even correct it. Like someday I want to correct it. So I have those kind of little regrets.
Right. But as a film, nothing.
No, as a whole film, no, nothing.
Yeah.
As a whole film, no. The two films that I didn't get to make, I have like, they are sore points in my life.
Okay.
Also, the way Man Marziyan was 2.5 minutes cut from the film. So those things somehow stay with me. It's like, I just feel like my film ko koi kaate na. And plus, Bombay Blood, can you believe it? It's my most censored film. Pehla Nilani deliberately sat down and cut out all intimacy between the two characters from the film. Throughout the film. There were two people who could not keep their hands off each other. That's how I wanted to create a love.
That hardly
While
comes
they're
across,
talking,
yeah.
they're constantly kissing and talking. He snipped off all intimacy from the film. I was so angry. I abused him and recorded in my own voice and put it in the film. It's there still. I was so angry.
My
And because it
God.
was such a big budget film, and because they're desperate to want to use certificate, and I wasn't even allowed to fight. So those are things. And because, you know, when the budget takes precedence, that's why I decided for next film, I'll make my lowest budget film. I went and made Ram Raghav. I said, I will not let anyone touch it. So that's why now I have, like, the only way to do it is cut down the cost.
Given the kind of films that you make and connect with, are you still able to watch mainstream films the way you did when you were a kid or a teenager?
No. If it's a good film, I do. I saw Gangubai. I enjoyed Gangubai a lot. I have had hours of conversation with Bansali and Alia over Gangubai. Of all the good things, I really enjoyed. I saw Pushpa. I enjoyed Pushpa. I did not enjoy RRR as much as because I'm a massive Rajamouli Ega fan. I come from the world of Ega.
Yeah.
So when he makes me believe in something which only comes from his mind, I believe in it. But when you are building on a mythology, then I feel like, you know, okay, it is not really sticking to it. So yeah, then I'll go and watch the spectacle.
Right.
And the spectacle can have an impact.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't. Like Bahubali had a spectacle that had an impact on me.
Right.
RRR, some action scenes had impact on me. Like when at the party when the animals come out, like I was like, how can somebody think like that?
Seriously.
I was like, how can someone think like that? I was blown by that. But the film as a whole, for me, I put RRR below Bahubali, below Iga, below Magadira, below a lot of his other films.
Right.
But if I'm speaking from what people have been reaching out to me and talking about from the West, they have like discovered a new filmmaker called Rajamouli with RRR.
Yeah. Like you just said, yeah.
I'm telling you, the filmmakers have just what I find crazy and what I find mindless is that mindlessness. It's like how everything everywhere all at once works for me.
Right.
RRR has worked for them.
Yeah.
Nice
And they find it better
comparison.
than any Marvel movie. So they've really gone crazy at the RRRs, even the silliness of it. And they're so blown by not just the action sequence, the dance sequence. And dance sequence, which I think is one of the best choreography, most energetic choreography done in the longest time.
Yeah.
So that you can't take away. That
the two men,
the two men dancing. That's an incredible choreography, and that has hit them very hard. They're loving it.
Right.
RRR is the go-to film. You want to? It's like literally in universities in US and and Europe, people are like, they go to party, they come back and they want to watch RRR. And RRR has become that film. Let's see from that sequence. So because RRR is literally chain of very exciting sequences. So people have their favorites. I like the dance bit, I like the end bit, I like the party bit, I like the opening lion bit. And it's like this. And you can watch in any order. You can shuffle RRR and watch it from anywhere.
Right.
So people go out partying, people go out something, they come back. 15 minutes they want to watch RRR. After having seen that umpteen times. And it's crazy. The craziness for RRR is so real that you won't believe it.
I'm going to list all your films, Anurag. I just want you to very quickly tell me what is the state of mind you were when you made them, or what made you pick them. Let's start with Panch.
Panch, I really did not make the film I started out with, but it was my first film. So there were bits of compromises. The last 15 minutes is a kind of a compromise take on it. I was just wanting to make my first film at a point because I was angry with the industry. I was totally corrupted by Ram Gopal Verma in his best phase. He's my teacher, mentor. I spent 3 years on Satya. Satya was a film full of newcomers. So I was like, I will make a film with everyone who's a newcomer, including the cast and the crew. And I will show you can still make a good film. That was my state of mind.
Black Friday.
Black Friday was really, while I fell in love with the material while working on it as a writer.
Right.
And when they were shelving it was a series, 6-part series, which is by the chapters. I was and Panch had not released, and I was very desperate. And I know how to make things under a certain cost. And I was still connected to theatre and all that. So I had an army of actors. So I had to do that. I was like, Panch has not worked. I really think this film can go all out. And I wanted to make that film and also to do what I wanted to do with Panch, which I couldn't get to do. So with Panch, I wanted to prove a point.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to do it. So I wanted to, like, Black Friday would reinstate that.
Right.
You don't need a star to make a film.
No smoking.
No smoking came out of a place where I was exhausted. This was after, like, when my films had stuck. All in Kadishan got shelved, Grand Hotel got shelved, Black Friday got stuck, Panch got stuck, Gulal was half done and stuck. And my friends were doing things and everything was happening for them. So I had everybody from my family to extended family to world advising me on why do you do this? Why don't you make a film? I did Feng Shui in the house. I did everything that anybody believed in. At that time, anybody who came and said that this is the problem, your chakras are not right, your grahas are not right. भाई ग्रह ठीक नहीं है, ये ठीक करो, वो ठीक करो, ये घर का कोना बदलो, मैं सब करने को तैयार था. Or because industry also indirectly used to call me Manhus. That's also the time when people stole a lot of my scripts and my credit.
Okay.
Because, they think the person will diminish. So at that time, No Smoking came from there, where literally it is like a film about me, who smokes a lot, who makes his kind of films, and everybody telling him, don't do that.
Don't do that.
And which is why,
I'm now very excited to watch No Smoking.
at that time, my friend who became the most successful was Abbas Tyrewala. He wrote Nona, Munna Bhai, Maqbool,
Yeah.
all that. And he is the most vocal. You should not do this. You will make your best film when I write it. So I named the character after him only. I called him Abbas Tyrewala. And I used all his name of all his films. So it was my whole take on the entire industry and my world. It is that film. It's a film about me not wanting to quit smoking, but nobody let me smoke. And those fingers were cut. It's like, this is what I used to write with.
Right.
Not holding a cigarette, holding a pen. So everything in the film, if you see from where my life was at that point, the film was made like that. And while making the film, the biggest joke on the set was, when this film will play out, we'll put a camera and watch audience's reaction.
Return of Hanuman, which is really the
But
now,
it's strange that how that film is picked up now. After 15, 16 years, suddenly everybody who sees it raves about it and talks about it.
I remember watching it in theaters, I guess. First Hanuman, the school took us for the trip, and second one, I think I also was in theaters. And it was quite dark, and it was very different as a child, watching a film, the cartoon film being a little darker toned and, not a very playful kind of thing. So that was really interesting about that one.
It's got own suddenly. IMDb rating has gone up from 5 point something to 7 point something.
You just said, I want to make an animated feature. Is that what it was? Or?
Return of Hanuman? No. I was hired as a writer.
Okay.
I was going through a very bad time. My films were not releasing and stuff, and I was hired as a writer. And I wrote a very quirky modern day script. The director left midway. The director left midway, and I should have also left. Because the producers were shit. Producer is a complete idiot who understands nothing about cinema. He's also recently made a documentary on himself about how great he is. I should have also left, but I didn't.
I want to know who's that.
So what happened is they said, will you finish it? I said, but I've never made an animation movie. How can I finish it? So the studios and everybody came to me and they were like, so you tell a story. You just sit there and negate things. Don't say, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So I went along with it. And I started enjoying the process. I started enjoying telling that story. And it was still not fully done. It was half complete. The producer decided to release it because according to his Pandit, it was a good date. So if you see the second part of the film, it's still unfinished. The animation is unfinished. The whole thing that arrives, which is based on the environment and all the climate change, which comes as a villain, that part of animation is unfinished. And producer decided to release the film. And my condition when I came on board after the director left was, I'll finish it, but I want to dedicate it to my daughter because I was recently separated. And my daughter also was going through that phase. That has played a larger role in my life, man. This father-daughter relationship is part of many things. I was supremely guilty about being away from her. So I got to dedicate it to her. And the first screening we did was for her school. And she was standing on the stage and she was very, very shy. And
Devdi.
Devdi was after No Smoking is Failed. I was like, what do you want? Do you want a movie? I'll give you want a Chitrahar in the movie? We'll do the music. And I'll give you the best love story ever, Devdas. It started off like that. And then because I don't like the book, source material so much, and Vikram loves it. So I got Vikram to, I said, do the first draft. I said, you adapt Devdas, I'll take your script and work on your script,
Okay.
not from the novel. So I worked from Vikram's
Okay.
script. I took Vikram's script and started taking out all the elements that we are very familiar with Devdas because we have seen a million times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used that to put in all my modern ideas. And Vikram hated it. Like if you talk to Vikram about that film,
Vikram Motwane, one of my favorite directors.
Vikram still is angry and pissed off with Devdi. He says, Anurag destroyed my Devdas.
Gulal.
Gulal came into my life right after Panch. So Gulal started in 2001. I'd finished Panch, it was stuck with censors. And I was sitting there, and this guy came to me with a story of college elections and all this. I said, what is this story? It was just like a very anywhere, any kind of a story. I said, where is it? Which part of the world is it in? He said, anywhere. I said, that's not an answer I like. I said, tu kahan se hai? He said, Rajasthan. I said, okay, take me to Rajasthan. I went with him to Rajasthan. I met. And then I saw the world. And I realized how much they live in the past. Where the Karni Sena and everything comes from.
Right.
So this film, I was forcing all of them. And these Rajputs have this sense of past glory and they have nothing today. So who are the people who are out on the streets today? Using religion, using caste. People who have achieved nothing. They have zero sense of achievement. They've gone nowhere. And I saw what is happening. Everybody is going to sell off their ancestral property because that's the last thing they've left. Turn them into hotel and resorts, and then they will have nothing left. It's like how modernization has done to the farmers from Goregaon, Gurgaon, and everywhere. The modernization comes, they sell off their land, they get the money, the next generation buys a car, blows the money in 3 years, and then they're again left with nothing. So the same kind of a thing I foresaw. So Gulal was written as a futuristic film when I started to write it. By the time it released, it had become reality. It was no more futuristic, so we took it out.
Right.
So earlier, the first line was few years from now. And that's when I was setting Gulal. But by the time it released, sab ho hi gaya tha toh. We took that out.
That girl in yellow boots.
And that's my long, it was something stuck in my throat.
Okay.
And I did not want my perspectives. So Kalki wrote a play. And I took that play and made it into a film.
Yeah.
But I had to make that film post Devdi because, Devdi I made in a lot of anger. And by the end of Devdi, I had fallen in love. I had calmed down as a person. And then suddenly, that whole thing that has been at the back of my head, bothering me, had to come out. I was stuck. I could not move beyond Gangs of Wasseypur. Bombay Velvet already was written. Everything was done. There's a whole lot of ugly was already formed in my head as a script. Raman Raghav, the original, there's a lot of other 3-4 scripts. All were written and done. But I just couldn't. And UTV did a 9-film deal with me. And I wanted Vikram to direct. Vikram was a very difficult person because nobody wanted to. They couldn't deal with the person.
Okay.
And only I could have produced Udaan at that time. So Vikram is somebody I have learned a lot from. So for me, it was like, it's high time people see the genius that is coming from him. So UTV did a 9-film deal with me, and the first thing I wanted to do is Udaan and Yellow Boots. Because they were long gestating, stuck in the throat projects. And those are 2 projects, they got scared. They wanted more of Devdi. So we backed out. I went and made those films. And the moment Udaan got announced at Cannes, UTV came back to So that's how opportunistic studios are.
Gangs of Wasseypur.
All right.
Gangs of Wasseypur I did only because, from the first time Ed got me interested, it was like, how stupid these gangsters are. I found them very amusing and funny. And I wanted to make a funny film. Funny film without making it a comedy. I found them amusing and funny, and I saw this as an excuse to do what Best of Youth did to me. When I saw Best of Youth, I was blown by it.
Right.
Because how a film uses to tell a personal story, And via personal story, it kind of takes me through the entire landscape of Italy and political landscape of Italy over the years, while telling me a personal story. So I got an opportunity to do that. Because Best of Youth I saw in 2006. And this came to me in 2009, Gangs of Wasseypur. And I wrote it on the sets of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobaaraa. I started writing it on the sets of Zindagi Na Milegi Dobaaraa because I was
Wow. What a contrast.
a spouse. Excel gives an extra ticket for spouse. I got to go to France, Spain. And then from there I went to Madrid and finished writing it.
Ugly.
Ugly has been long gestating in my system since 2005-06. It was forming in my head from 2005 onwards.
Was there a spark that kind of...
No, just my separation with my daughter. My latest film is also that. It also comes from there.
That is the one after
Okay.
Dobaaraa.
I've just finished a film.
Okay.
I have 2 finished films. I'm just sitting on it. I don't tell people what I make. Ugly is ingestating since then. It comes from that guilt. And then what happens, that guilt combined with the lots of things and memories. So it's very strange how things come together. Rahul Bhatt was that actor who I used to see when I used to live in PMGP colony, where I also shot portions of Ugly, beginning of the chase and where Rahul lives. His past life, I shot everything there. Because he's also a man from my past then. When he came to Bombay, before he became a television star and then disappeared, his life went. I remember this guy standing on his balcony with his six-pack, brushing his teeth, while we were sitting in the restaurant eating breakfast. When I met Rahul again, so for me, a lot of things came together. So Ugly is a mix of a lot of things. But the gestation was this whole separation of a failed person who's divorced. He gets his time off from the daughter, and daughter's biggest complaint is, one day you spend with me and that day also you're busy with your work. And there's something that my daughter wrote in her diary. Even I hate you when you're working or when you're on your phone. When I come and Papa, when I come and meet you, she wrote in her diary in very childish handwriting. Very personal thing. And that affected me a lot.
That's how, stories form. That's where it all comes out from.
Raghav.
Raman Raghav came from, again, I think some of my most personal work comes when I'm in a very angry phase.
I think the root is everywhere is anger somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When there's no anger,
Yeah, because films are expressions, right? What you're feeling, what you want to tell something from your film, that's where it comes from.
films में भी दिख जाता है कि कुछ तरह है. Raman Raghav came because after Bombay Velvet, obviously nobody wanted to make Raman Raghav. Vasan had written, adapted the entire script, a lot of research. We wanted to make a biopic. The idea was to make 4 films about Bombay and put it together. And we were supposed to make them cheap. Then the Phantom got formed. It got sold at a higher price. It was script budgeting के पहले एक price पे बेच दी गई थी film. The way business used to do. So studios are equally at fault as much as the producers. So price came first, then to justify the price, star came in. To justify the star, studio came in. Like a setup came in.
Yeah.
A set came in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I had done my recce over the years how I will shoot Bombay Velvet in bits and pieces like Basu does with low cost. Anyway, so because of which the other 3 Bombay films got shelved, which I still have. They're amazing stories. So one of them is Raman Raghav.
I never saw Bombay Velvet, by the way.
So I was literally sitting there and I went to Madhu Mantena and I said, how much money will you give me if don't want to be answerable to anyone in terms of what my script is, what my cast is, what am I making? I want everybody off my back. So Madhu said, give me a figure of 3.5 crores. I said, give me that much money and leave me alone. And everybody get lost. And I went to Amsterdam and I made Raman Raghav. I just said, Raman Raghav नहीं हो सकता, मैं Raman Raghav 2.0 बनाऊंगा. I'll separate the two and tell people how this side or that side, you all are the same. That kind of an anger. One is a person who's wearing a righteous uniform and one is a known evil, which was like me.
Yeah.
And you are the filmmaker who knows what to do and I'm the one who's wasting your money, but we are both the same.
Nicely, okay.
Translates into psychopath, and everybody's a psychopath because everybody is a sociopath in this industry. Mukkabaz came from Vinith, and it was very inspired by his dedication to the limit. I've never seen an actor struggle so hard
Okay.
for 16 years.
Hmm.
And after struggling so hard, when he was like, nobody gives me that respect. You have given me a slight modicum of respect, but nobody even gives me that. And he wrote a story and he said, I want to get it made. And I said, go around, meet people. He met everybody, then he came back. He says, nobody is really making the film and they feel like, give me the story and I'll make it with somebody else. I said, let me read it. So the first draft he had written was a kind of a, it's like how Vasepur was, the first draft was bastardized inspiration of City of God. Because that's how newcomers tend to think.
Right.
A film that already exists, let's take real stories and fit into those boxes. So it'll look like that. So we have our own and we can also claim it's original because it's like that.
Yeah.
So that's how the
Okay.
Vasepur journey had started. So I told them, tell me the whole story. So this was like a same kind of an attempt for Rocky. I said, it doesn't exist in India. India is not about professional boxing. India is not about that. I said, मैंने तो सुना ही नहीं कोई male boxer. Why do we make a boxing film in India? And बनानी है तो वो जो there is one boxer. I said, उसको पूछो क्या है? And I said, and if I have to make this film with you, I can't afford to shoot boxing because boxing scenes, shooting them is a lot of money. I can't.
Yeah.
So only way I can shoot this film is I'll put you in a ring with the real boxers, and you have to say fight, and it can't look unprofessional. It can't look like my Intakam Lunga, Dharminder boxing. So Vineet said, okay, fine. Vineet sold everything and went off. He sold everything he owned, including his car, and took the money and went into training while his girlfriend would cook for him in this one small room. And he started to train for a year. And when he started sending me videos, I was getting goosebumps. I was like, yeah, you know what? Then I actually read the script. And the scene that resonated with me was one scene. The guy goes in a job and he says, may I come in, sir? He says, you may not. And that suddenly my UP came back. I like, this is why sportsmen, people join sports to get government jobs.
Yeah.
I said, that's the whole film. And that's where the whole film and love story fell into place.
Right.
So I had to ask his permission. I said, I'm rewriting the script. Let me rewrite it my way. To have a permission. He gave me permission. I rewrote the film. And Mukkabaz actually came from that inspiration. An inspiration that came from Vineet.
Man Marziyan.
So Man Marziyan started with Anand Elray sending me a script, saying, if you're interested. I read the script. They said this film was already shot. We already have actors. The director's not there anymore. We have shot for 1 month. All that.
Okay.
So I did not like the script per se very much. What I liked was Rumi. So I called Kanika. I said, Kanika, I really like the essence of Rumi. But first draft was, the script was more about Kakaji, about a wedding bureau. I said,
Okay.
I want to make a film about this girl. Kanika says, that's exactly what I wanted to do. But because she was also struggling, she was adapting herself, said, the previous directors wanted me to do this. So I said, I'm not the previous director. Go back to where you were. And then I found out there's a lot of it that she's borrowed from her own life and everything else. So I sat down and interrogated Kanika and took everything out of her. And I said, put that in the script. And she was there with me on a daily basis. I said, I want you every day on the set because I'm not from Amritsar. And I don't want to go wrong. So take me to your places. And she was literally like a creative producer on the set on a daily basis. And Anand Elray gave me total freedom. He said, Anurag, I'll write off the money that I spend on it. Write off actors. You do your own casting. So I did my own casting. I redid all the music. Everything was redone. And it became Rumi's film. And then half of it also came from Taapsee. When I met Taapsee, because we were looking for Rumi and we couldn't find one. And I had not seen any of Taapsee's film, barring Adugalam.
Right.
That's the only film. No Hindi film, nothing. Only
The worst film of her as an actor.
Vetri's film.
Yeah.
So when I met the real Taapsee, I
Worst as in comparatively.
said, यार ये है Rumi. Everybody, so people are like, नहीं आप उसको देखो, उसकी film देखो. मैं film नहीं देखनी. And he's the person. I've always cast a person. Like Sayami in Choked also like that. I said, this is Rumi and this is the girl I want to work with. I also steal from the person I cast.
Right.
So most of my films are stealing from everywhere. So that's how Man Marziyan.
Choked.
Choked came from Nihit Bhave. I like the idea of it, of a woman who finds money in a thing. And I liked the script and we bought the script. But I put the script on the back burner because I was making Bombay Bullet.
Okay. So long
And
back.
Bombay गई, फिर मैं भूल गया. Then I was like literally needed to get out. I was ready to leave for France. I was like, after this
Yeah, you
bigger
were talking about leaving the country. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
leaving the country.
Yeah.
So I said, after this disaster, I'm not leaving. I have to regain my lost trust. I went to make Raman Raghav. From there, it just became a cycle, Mukkabad, this, that. And then one day I saw Neil Bhavi's face. He said, sir, हमारी film बनेगी क्या? And that's when I remembered, shit, I have to do this. But by then, demonetization had happened. I said, we have to bring in demonetization in the script. It was a magic realism
Okay.
film.
Yeah.
I said, today's day and age, without demonetization, you can't make this film because it won't make sense. So then he rewrote the script, and that's how the choke happened.
Why is it that after you became the poster boy for a certain kind of indie cinema, there hasn't been another poster boy? There are lots of people making movies, but when we think of that, after all these years, it's still you that's like sitting there like one guru.
I think because people are working for themselves, in the sense nobody really, in the sense one is, somebody said, how are you the poster boy? I said, I don't want to be one. Why
No,
don't you become the one?
I mean it in a good way.
No,
Yeah.
I know that, but you never realize that. See, you don't become one by wanting to be
you
one.
can't plan it. Yeah.
No, I think only because all the filmmakers are extremely self-serving. There's no system, community. They don't help other people make films. I think I largely became the go-to person for all the people.
He has produced so many South Indian films, so many films he has put his name. So, there's more buyers to the film and more people know about that film. That's what it does.
Who had nobody to go to. And that's one of the primary reasons. So I created a place where people come and make films. And I still, till date, if I like a good film, an independent film, I'll go and support it. Problem is just they don't support. Everything becomes a business transaction for them. The reasons to make films is always money. And more than the mainstream, all the art house filmmakers are worse because they're crabs. The fight for bigger box office is still not as harmful as the people fighting among themselves for greatness.
Wow.
If you meet, you can't sit with 20 independent filmmakers in a room after they have made their first film. Before you can.
Wow. Okay.
Put 20 independent filmmakers in a room, it'll explode like a bomb. Because they are like, I'm greater than you.
Right.
I'm more intelligent than you. I'm a bigger auteur I'm an auteur. I'm this, I'm that. Their sense of I, and their sense of whatever it is just unimaginable. I can't deal with half of them. I like their films. I will not spend 5 minutes with them. They're the most disgusting species, the independent art filmmakers.
Oh my God. What happened? I heard a movie about this.
But it's also that you have your work, has been you've been consistently putting out films.
I'm a genre filmmaker.
Right. So whereas others, they they come out with one good film and then it's suddenly 5 years later.
See, because people are always making films to impress others.
Right.
See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I say that I don't have patience for them. They are making films to impress others. They're making films for greatness. They're not making films because they want to make films. For me, if I will be not allowed to make anything, I'll come to a point where I'll do a random remake of whatever comes my way. I like the process of making a movie.
Right.
And it is not, if you look at my house, it's a genre films mostly.
Yeah.
All the noir and all the horror and everything. I'm a genre filmmaker. I'm a genre freak. I'll go to Sitges over Cannes. I'll go to Fantasia over any other film festival. I'll go to Fantastic Fest over something else. I'll go to Bifan over Busan. Right? I'm that person. But yeah, I love other kind of films and I like honest films. And mostly that's why I support first-time filmmakers.
Right.
Because I have very rarely seen a first-time filmmaker being the same human being after his first film has succeeded. They become shit people immediately.
Would you be part of that community after your first film? Did you
No.
change in any way?
I would have been that human being if my first film had released on time. I think the greatest thing that happened to me was for 7 years my film didn't release. I've seen people go up, come down, be shit.
Yeah.
So that was my lesson. I realized this is what I should not become because, you never know how you lose themselves.
Right.
I also feel that like when something wrong happens to you and it's not working out, things are not going the way you expected and everything will be amazing, it doesn't happen and you struggle and you learn lessons, you know, grow as a person. That's way better than if it had happened, because you wouldn't have grown. And you know, personally in my own life, I think about it a lot. So there are a lot of things like that which like I felt was the worst time, what's happening, I hate this and everything. But those are the things that actually made me what I am today, you know, and I'm happy with that, you know. So sometimes we all worry about things happening to us, but it's actually, you know, when we see the whole picture, it actually works for you.
So I would not want to change one thing about that period, because I
Yes.
wouldn't be who I am. I would have been the same shit person if Panch would have released or Black Friday would have released in time.
Right.
I would have been the same person, arrogant, full of self. Why I was making Panch or Black Friday? To prove a point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the moment my point got proven, I would have put down everybody else.
Right, right, right.
So because I didn't get to prove my point, I think it humanized me. It grounded me.
You just spoke about ups and downs and all that kind of stuff. Are you in a good space now, Anurag?
I'm in a very good space. I have no reason to complain. Like, Jafar Panahi is in jail.
Yeah.
So many other filmmakers in that country are in jail. The filmmakers even in Russia, they cannot go out and do so much. I still get to have a choice. Okay, I've got 9 scripts, but one has a taker. One will always have a taker. जब बीच में कुछ भी नहीं था, I got to
Being
make Dobaaraa.
optimistic. Yeah.
Right? And I still am making films. There is not a single day I'm not working. And I'm non-stop making films. I have next 7 films lined up over the next 3 to 4 years.
Nice.
So
I'm happy.
Zero complaints.
Right.
I have zero complaints. Okay, some of them will be mine. Some of them will be in exchange for others. So hey, I've just got to do a film which is my 100% ownership, like a totally my film.
Right.
Looking
I'm so
forward to
invested
that.
in that film. So I just got to finish that. So I'm very happy about that.
Nice. Nice to see you in a good place, Anurag. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was a long one, but a really good interview. Like so much knowledge, so much. Like if you are a budding filmmaker, you know, if you are thinking about getting in the industry and like say so much information you can gauge from it. And I'm actually planning to do a video on the channel about filmmaking and you know what I studied and what went and a lot of things like that on the channel, so do check that out. But honestly, such an honest conversation that there's no hiding behind, you know, there's not political correctness or oh, I'll not take names of things that happened. Like he literally said via ref what's going wrong. He took the names, it took the names of people, you know, you act in a certain way without defaming anyone, kind of, you know, just saying casually as if, you know, we are sitting with him and just casually talking to us. And again, you know, BI with amazing questions, all about, I've yet to see many films of Anurag Kashyap. I've seen the recent ones, but not the older ones in the beginning. I've not even seen Satya, which is like a big classic. So yeah, so much to cover in. But again, if you enjoyed, like, subscribe, do check out this video, and more interviews will be coming out. And yeah, it's a long one, but hopefully it worked. And if you enjoyed, yeah, do all of that, and I'll see you next time.